It's the gift of being an empath and how to not be at an effect of it. Welcome to today's live video. Where, oops, I had Instagram thing in the background because I'm using StreamYard to stream today. So, welcome to this very unique exploration conversation today. And what inspired this was my own day today, because I definitely have always associated myself as an empath. And when I didn't even know about it, when I first found out about it, I was like, oh my God, that explains my life. And call yourself an empath, call yourself a neurodivergent person, call yourself a highly sensitive person. But basically, all of these are some different abilities that we were never A, even acknowledged for, and B, then of course, taught how to use in a way that works for us. Because as an empath, you are so aware and so psychic. So, in order for you to be successful and even be functional, a lot of times, quite honestly, you have to allow yourself to have a different perspective and give yourself some space to educate on how things work for you. So, let me give you a little bit of a brief rundown on what it means to be an empath. Empaths are people that are basically, you just know what's going on for somebody else. You can tap into other people's space, their awareness, what's going on for them. You would know when someone's not feeling great. Sometimes your body gives you information. And all of this is actually an ability. It's not a problem, which oftentimes we turn it into. And I am full on guilty of it. I've done it in my life too, where it'd be like, oh my God, my body's hurting. And one of the craziest ways and abilities that I had, for example, growing up, was I didn't have breakouts um, growing up in the teenage years. How did I get so lucky? And I remember at one point, one of my friends pointed that out, and not from a place of acknowledgement, but sort of like a resentment that my skin breaks out so much and you're so clear. Up until that point, I hadn't even almost noticed that, people are breaking out and I'm not. But there's somewhere in that, like, triggered some sort of my empath ability. And I started noticing that moment onwards. I've had so many times in my life where one of my friends would be having a pimple right here. And guess what? Next morning, I would have a pimple right here. Anyway, this is funny to be talking about my on my page here, but well, that's how life works. And in order for you to be successful as an empath, and even, like I said, just be functional as an empath, you've got to allow yourself to, first of all, embrace the gift of being an empath, that it's not a curse, it's not a problem, but it's an ability that we haven't yet educated ourselves in, or developed the ability to thrive in yet. And that's a lot of the work that we do together to really, really start looking at what actually occurs for you, how it actually goes energetically behind the cognitive scene, what's actually going on for you. So, first of all, to begin with, I really want to highlight the gift of being an empath is that you have these abilities, these capacities that may be untapped yet, that you may have been using against yourself so far, maybe in your interactions with the world, like creating a pimple, like I used to do. Funny how that one popped up. But it also shows up a lot in creating your businesses. I actively engage with and create a business. And I also have been supporting some other businesses. And it's so fascinating for me to look at how it's this ability to tap into a space, a creation, an idea, people that are working together, everything that's going on for everybody. It's very fascinating. And that, by the way, is your gift as an empath. Your awareness is your gift as an empath. And I would actually even go as far as to argue that everybody's aware. We learn to shut off our awareness like a little baby responds to someone who's angry in the room, even if they don't express their anger towards the baby. So there are some of these subtle abilities, these nuances in which way things work in the world that we were never empowered or educated in. And what if we change that? And how to not be an effect of your awareness? The first step is right there, to educate yourself, to really get out of that being a problem, or really stop avoiding the intensities that show up in your space. A lot of times we avoid the intensities by binge watching, mindlessly scrolling, eating food or munching food when we're not even hungry, not even thinking about whether we're hungry or not. Basically, filling up the space as much as possible, numbing ourselves down from what? Our awareness. Living is intense. And I don't mean intense in a way that may have any negative connotation at all. Living is intense and living is awesomely intense. Have you ever looked at a tree? Can you perceive how intense it must be for the tree? But the tree does not have a point of view of this is hard or this is too intense. And yes, I say a point of view of because all of those are just the points of views that we attached, our own meaning that we give to an ability that we might have. And so, what would it be like to not be living at an effect of your awareness, to actually thrive with your awareness? What does that look like for you? How is that going to show up for you? I don't know. It's going to be your journey. But I want to share with you some of the tools that I use to navigate this journey. The first one, I've said it before and I'll say it again, was actually, no, I said the education part. There's another part that sort of goes hand in hand with education, or maybe even precedes education. What precedes education is you stepping out of the wrongness of your abilities and start asking some different questions. Start asking, okay, cool, what's the gift in this? What's the gift in this that I haven't acknowledged or that I haven't even considered or that I haven't even started to tap into? Think of it like your empath abilities like electricity. It's an ability, a resource, it's an energy. And if you don't know how to use it, you can literally wreak havoc with it. If you know how to use it, you can light up a beautiful world. Like the Christmas lights that was so around everywhere just last week, they're possible because electricity. So, what if your abilities can be utilized and used in a similar way too? But in order for you to start walking that track, you've got to first start embracing the idea to begin with that maybe there is something right about things that have the way things have been for you that you haven't been getting. And maybe you do not have to avoid things anymore. Maybe there is a way in which you can actually be present with yourself, with your dreams, exactly how you'd want to show up the way you'd like to. And so, some of the tools that I use, because today was a bit of since morning, I guess since yesterday evening was a little bit of an intense day for me. I was tapped into a bunch of different spaces. A lot of times, if you're a creator, if you have a business or something, you will find this that when you engage with your creations, you become so much aware of everything that's going on for everybody that's a part of that engagement, that project for you. And when you go to social media, for example, you might notice that you tap into other people's universes. So you have got to somewhere cultivate a different sort of self care practice, so to speak, for yourself as an empath. Um, and from a place of love, not because you have to, not because you should, definitely not, but because it's nurturing for you, because it allows you and gives you that space where you thrive and you can fly from. metaphorically speaking, or maybe even literally, who knows? But I really would like to share how I was navigating this whole journey today. First of all, I have spent enormous amount of years educating myself on what it is to be an empath. What does that mean? And what does that indicate? And if I were to summarize it for you, the simplicity of it is that as an empath, you are aware. You're very, very aware. You are very sensitive to the awareness that's all around you. You're aware of what's going on for somebody else. You're aware of what's going on in some place in the world. You're aware. It's a psychic ability almost. And a lot of times when we think of psychics, we think of, these people that are sitting in front of like those crystal balls and stuff. That could be a part of it, but that's not nearly all of it. All of it is mostly you and I, people just walking on the streets, just crossing somebody, and we were having a great day, and suddenly we just feel weird. Where did that come from? The gift of being an empath is your awareness, but that gift can be used against yourself if you don't educate yourself on and cultivate the practice of honing your presence with what is this and how do I use this ability to my advantage. So, first is to get out of the wrongness. Second thing is to educate yourself, sort of goes hand in hand. The next thing that comes in is to really, really practice curiosity and presence. You have got to cultivate presence to find the space of you. You cannot be avoiding what you're aware of, resisting it, trying to buffer over it by mindlessly scrolling. Guess how I know all that? Because I've done all that. Or just binge watching Netflix, eating, stuffing yourself up. I used to do this a lot. I used to just want to have something in my mouth, like the crunch of something, because that sound would like diminish a little bit of that sound and noise rather that was there in my head. So I would just be munching something crunchy all the time, just so that I can distract myself a little bit. It sort of works, but not really. Works in a way, it just does distract you, but doesn't at all in a way that you're not allowing yourself to be present with something that actually has a gift underneath it. It does require you to choose, though. It requires you to choose to be present. It requires you to learn to be present. It requires you to learn to be with intensities, learn to receive intensities. You can do it in so many different forms. You could meditate. You could use breathwork practice. You could have a regular practice of doing bars, access bars in your life. There's so many different ways in which I support myself and my psychic space. Because if I don't practice a good psychic hygiene, I'm going to be a hot mess. I am often a hot mess on those dates, on those days where I am not super present with myself, where I am avoiding my awareness, where I have decided this is too much. And I know I say all of this with a grain of salt because having lived it, I know like when I'm really in it, if someone was to come in and say, hey, you're just avoiding your awareness, I want to like punch them or slap them or something. So this is really something just for you. This is not something that this is not a conversation you have with your partner or your best friend unless you get a sense that they're in a space where they would receive. This is essentially a conversation for you to ask yourself these questions and be like, okay, what's right about this I'm not getting? What if I was willing to be more present with this? What if I was willing to open myself up to my gifts and my abilities? What if I was willing to ask what's right about it all? What's the gift in it all? And through that curiosity, through that awareness on that journey, you will become aware of a lot of different things. I have no idea what you will become aware of. I'll be curious to know from you. For me, I can just speak for myself. Like when I am willing to be that, so often, like just before I did this live, I did my 15-minute meditation practice. That's a new thing that I've added, by the way. I'm doing something different. Like if you guys are following, this video right here is also a part of my self-love 101 challenge, which is basically my daily choice challenge, where for 101 days, I have chosen 5 things to do every single day Not because I have to, not because I should, not because it's a resolution, but because I love myself. And I would like to honor myself by doing these things that I have been putting off for so long. And just that one choice has opened up so much awareness, so much information is popping for me every single day. And so one of my daily fives is of doing a live every day, which I'm here for. And another one of my daily five is to meditate 15 minutes twice every day. It's a part of a process. I'm reading a book called The Presence Process, and it's a part of their exercise. And I'm committing to doing that for at least next 6 months or whatever. And so this is a space in which I also am holding myself accountable. And I know I'm streaming in a lot of different places. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube and you're listening to this, you've got to come and join me on Instagram, because I'm mainly doing it on Instagram. I share every day in my stories what are the things that I did, what are some challenges, how are some ways in which I'm tweaking my challenge in a way or setting things up in a way that support me and really nourish me on this 101-day choice journey, daily choice journey that I've chosen. And I also invite you to look at this. You don't have to do 5 things every day. You could be doing one choice for yourself, one choice that honors you, just for that reason. No other reason other than it's an honoring of me, so I'm going to choose it. One choice. You don't have to do it for 101 days. You could be doing it for 30 days. But what if you were willing to love yourself enough, care for yourself enough to choose any one thing for the next 30 days that you do just because you love yourself, just because you want to cultivate that self-love relationship with yourself? Maybe you don't even love yourself. Maybe saying that is like too high right now. You're like, I definitely was there where I'd be like, I couldn't say I love you to myself at all. And now I'm like, oh, how did I get so lucky to be me? So change is definitely possible, you guys. I'm such a living example of it. Anyway, I tend to digress, but also wanted to invite you, if you're on different platforms, even if you're watching this on Instagram, join me in my stories. Even now, you will find some stuff around this. And I'm sharing every day what are the things that I did and what are some things that I'm changing up. So, anyway, the gift of being an empath. What if you embraced your abilities as an empath, as abilities, not disabilities, and as gifts? And what if you leaned towards it? Because, especially, I'm going to say, if you are someone who wishes to create a business, oh my God, you guys, business is such a great facilitator. It brings out the best in you and the worst in you. But for most of the times, to get to the best of you, best in you, you have to walk through the worst in you. Like all your shit comes up when you start your business and you're launching a program and blah, 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 blah. And to me, it's always a great question to look at, what am I doing this for? And especially if you're an empath, you have to know, if you're engaging with the world in any capacity, even when you're working in an organization, even when you're leading your family, you are engaging with people. And as long as you're engaging with people, you have to know that not everything that's in your space is yours. So how do you create from that place where you're present with you? And it's not a perfect journey. I'm going to be upfront with you. It's not that one day you arrive and then it's happily ever after at all. It's a cultivation, it's a practice, it's something that you have to show up for you for. And so you've got to have your own back. And as an empath, I think it's high time that the empaths, the sensitive ones, the dreamers who've been like buffering over, you know what I mean by buffer? Have you ever, nowadays it's not so common, but think of those days when the internet speed was very slow and to play a video you had to wait because like it's buffering. So it's almost like we're stuck in that waiting zone, and it's not really creating our lives. We're living in reaction to our awareness. We're living in reaction to things that are in our psychic space. We assume because we're aware it must be mine, because we're aware we got to do something about it. But there is such a different conversation and different space of being and creating that's available for you when you're willing to stop judging yourself, stop concluding what is what, Be more curious, be more present, be willing. Willingness is all it takes to start, my friends. Be willing to approach everything that you are, everything that you judged about you included, everything that you are as a gift. What is the gift in it? What is right about it? I'm not getting. So I hope this contributes and gives you some sort of awareness, maybe even some tools. And if you liked this and if you were liking this kind of content, please let me know. Like, comment, share, all that stuff, and join me on Instagram. Follow my journey for next 101 days. You're stuck with me. Not really. You always have choice to unfollow. You're never stuck with anyone or anything. You have choice. But I'd love for you to be a part of my 101 self-love 101 journey, where I am making these 101 days of daily choices. This one being a part of it. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Let me know. Um, Let me know how this one was for you, any takeaways you had, and what else would you like to know more and hear more about. Hey, Bharat, I just see one of my friends saying hello from Facebook. So there was that. All right, my friends, so happy to be here with you. See you again tomorrow with another conversation. And until then, bye-bye.